A series that rated 5.4 is getting renewed, a dark corporate romance, more who's top-bottom discourse, and multiple shows that are either going to be incredible or deeply confusing. Stay with me, we've got a variety of countries and platforms coming to us, so you'll definitely find something to watch this month. Hey, I'm Blush. We talk all things BL here. Shows, actors, and a little bit of industry chaos. This is our monthly releases video where we go through what's coming out, when it's airing, and where you can watch it. Or quietly ignore. I won't judge. If you find these kinds of videos useful, I'd love it if you took a second to subscribe. It really helps me out. A lot of Asian media, especially BLs, are region locked for a while, or honestly forever. I use NordVPN. Yes, it's legal. To trick the internet into thinking I'm in a different country to unlock shows that may not be available where I am. I've had to do this for Netflix so many times because Canadian Netflix takes forever to get stuff. Basically, you click any of these countries and NordVPN has the largest list by far, and it's the most trusted and used worldwide. I actually just renewed my subscription for the year too. I have a video explaining the different ways I use my VPN. In case you guys are wondering, I'll leave the link to the deal in the pinned comment as well. February actually opens up with The Boy Next World, which premieres February 1st out of Japan and will be streaming on Gago. If you haven't already noticed a pattern, we are now getting a Japanese remakes of all the recent MAME series, like Love in the Air, Love Sea, and now The Boy Next World. This is a parallel world romance centered on two men whose lives exist in different realities, worlds that should never overlap, yet somehow do. Their connection challenges fate, logic, and the idea that love has to exist within a single timeline or version of reality. Our Thai version with Boss and Noel fell short for a lot of viewers, especially since their first project, Love in the Air, has been cemented as a BL classic, legendary for its time even. Maybe the Japanese version of The Boy Next World will hit, but they hardly stray away from the original Thai versions, and their budgets are very modest, so they definitely need to get creative. Just a few days later, we shift from parallel worlds to a returning romance. Tide of Love Season 2 premieres February 4th, coming out of South Korea and streaming on Gago. Now listen, I'm not entirely sure who asked for this, but yes, we are getting a Season 2 of what was arguably South Korea's first BDSM BL, and look, I'm the first person to say, don't take my drama list ratings too seriously, but guys, the first season is sitting at a 5.4. A 5.4. That is atrocious. And before anyone calls fan wars, let's be real for a second. The lead's previous series, Sweetheart Service, managed at least a 7, which tells me even people who like them regardless would have been handing out pity 10s. And still a 5.4? I genuinely need to watch this because I'm deeply curious how a BL manages to land in 5 territory. That said, Season 2 might actually have more going for it. According to the synopsis, it opens with the leads preparing to celebrate their first Christmas and New Year's together when Jaehoon takes Haejun to another one of his secret villas, and what's meant to be a sweet memory quickly turns tense with the return of their close friend. And honestly, I kind of see a plot here. There's jealousy, there's history, there's an outside presence threatening their dynamic, which already feels more structured than whatever Season 1 was doing. What really surprised me is that Gago licensed this at all. I'm used to seeing media projects on YouTube, but Gago clearly looked at this and said, yeah, we'll take it. So you can expect it on Gago starting February 4th with a total of 8 episodes airing every Wednesday. Anyone who's watched the first season, please chime in the comments, because what is this 5 rating about? Sorry y'all, love is supposed to be in the air this month, and instead I've come in absolutely swinging, tearing down these poor BLs. I promise, I'm usually more constructive than this. I'm just genuinely baffled. Anyway, moving on. On February 5th, we pivot hard into indie Korean BL territory. Laundry Romance premieres on YouTube, produced by True Film, and this one is very much about quiet intimacy. The premise is simple. 2 men whose lives keep intersecting at a neighborhood laundromat. Late nights, repeated routines, and the slow realization that seeing the same person over and over again starts to feel less like coincidence and more like comfort. This is a slice of life BL in the purest sense. True film has built a reputation for minimalist storytelling, where emotion lives in pauses rather than the dialogue. So if you enjoy BLs that feel closer to short films than traditional dramas, this is absolutely one to keep an eye on. And yes, I know, right now we generally don't love short verticals because most of us feel like they're just doing a shortcut type of thing, but I've decided to include the ones that are either free or on platforms most of us already use. Any series that requires downloading a whole separate app like Likey or Short Time, I'll try not to mention. If we all magically start watching vertical shorts en masse, I'll pivot my content accordingly. But for now, I just want you to be making the most of what you already have access to. Cambodia is in the house. On February 8th, we get Hello Love. This series streams on YouTube via Corn X Station's channel. The story follows a group of university students who come together for a meaningful mission, reigniting public appreciation for Cambodia's rice farming, agriculture, and local tourism. Romance develops naturally within that framework, tied closely to themes of community, identity, and purpose. This is a great example of the social impact BL, where the love story exists alongside real cultural and economic issues rather than separate from them. Cambodia's BL industry is still largely YouTube native, which allows creators more freedom to explore local stories and national identity. These shows often feel more grounded and sincere even without massive budgets. Remember, our views go so far when it comes to new emerging BL markets, so don't be afraid to try something new. On the 9th, February takes a sharp turn into darker territory. Yesterday premieres out of Thailand, streaming on WeTV. Fort and Pete are back as two heirs from rival business families whose past is tangled with betrayal, exile, and unresolved feelings. When they're forced back into each other's orbit, love resurfaces, but not in a healthy way or uncomplicated way. This is a BL that leans into toxicity, power imbalance, and emotional manipulation, asking whether love can exist alongside resentment and ambition. I'm excited to see Pete take on a more assertive role, and I hope the tone stays true to the trailer. And of course, BLs like Yesterday tend to generate massive fandom discourse. Expect debates about morality, consent, and whether problematic stories should exist. Oh, and the inevitable, is it still Fort Pete or Pete Fort for this series? Y'all, I'm telling you, if I had a dollar, expect this show to thrive off of these two conversations. If you're enjoying these BL rundowns, I'll quickly mention that memberships are open and members get perks like early access and a loyalty badge next to your name when you comment. It changes over time and slowly exposes how long you've willingly listened to me talk. No pressure at all, but it genuinely helps me keep this channel sustainable. Thank you to everyone who's joined. I see you. And if you also want to get in on the growing little fam we have here, the join button is below. Alright, back to the shows. Japan making moves globally via Netflix once again. On the 10th, we get a feature-length film rather than a series. This Is I premieres globally on Netflix and is inspired by the real-life story of Japanese transgender icon Ai Haruna. This is not a fluffy watch. It's introspective, emotional, and focused on identity, self-acceptance, and rebirth. Safe to say, this is going to be a love story with a lot of emotional weight. Netflix Japan has been quietly expanding its LGBTQ+ slate, and This Is I feels like a prestige release meant to reach beyond the BL fandom into a wider audience. Mid-month, on February 13th, Japan delivers Pure Love, Bring It On, also known as Junai Joto, with a theatrical release. This film adapts a popular BL manga and centers on two delinquent high school boys whose rivalry slowly evolves into a mutual respect and eventually love. It's classic enemies to lovers packed into a tight runtime, with that distinctly Japanese delinquent aesthetic. You know, emotional repression, sudden vulnerability, and explosive confrontations. Now, this is a theatrical release, meaning it'll probably only be in Japan for a while, but that just means it should get a second wave of popularity once they hit streaming. Lots of YouTube releases this month. On February 21st, we return to Thailand with Heartshaker, streaming on Rocket Link Entertainment's channel. This is a short-form BL with a very high episode count, like 50-some episodes. Not unusual for a short vertical series. The story focuses on feelings you think you've outgrown, only to realize they never really left. I don't have much of a synopsis for this one, but it is tagged as romance comedy, so we'll get the usual emotional beats with lighter, playful moments. And finally, we have Smile Smile After Tears, an upcoming Taiwanese BL, also expected in February sometime, though details are still emerging. It stars cast members from idol groups, which immediately brings idol crossover appeal into the mix. The tone is giving a coming-of-age story, focusing on finding hope after emotional hardship. While the streaming platform hasn't been officially announced yet, Taiwanese BLs usually get picked up by She, Vicky, and/or Gago. I usually make another monthly releases video mid-month, taking into account any more series that were announced later, so hopefully we'll have more details by then. This was just a little preview of what February has in store for us, and if you missed any previous months, I have a whole playlist named Coming In Hot that you can check out. That being said, I'll see you in the next one. Editing blush here, I have to add this in because it's kind of the most iconic thing to happen. January marked the 10-year anniversary of Addicted. You know, that Chinese BL that got pulled mid-run back in 2016. It basically went down in history. It walked so other Chinese BLs could run. Well, Love After Addiction is premiering on Gago on February 6th. And yes, we have the same characters who played the support roles finally getting their own arc 10 freaking years later. Award-winning actor Yoki hits rock bottom after a series of scandals and chronic insomnia derail his career. He reunites with Yang Meng, a rescue team captain who once saved his life, and makes a startling discovery. Only by sleeping beside him can he really find rest. And what begins as a calculated approach under the guise of treating insomnia slowly spirals into something else. Guys, BRB, I gotta go cry. Anyways, is it just me or is everyone just aging backwards?